takes me almost a half a day just to blow off the steps coming down to the dock. Guys, I can't do that to you. That's my neighbor's house. This would be my house right down here. It's easy to park the Arrowhead Queen there, you know. The big White House, a true story about that. If you're a lottery player, I encourage you to keep playing, especially those big pot, because that was on an episode of HGTV, Lottery Millionaire or whatever it was, and they actually bought that house. This area that we're coming up into, this is known as Van Nuys Point. That's because the Van Nuys brothers actually owned the lake back in the 30s to about the 50s. And they were very instrumental on getting all of the movies that have ever been made here on the lake, because back in the early days, this was pretty much a big movie set. It was a lake that they came and shot lots of movies on. And this will be the Van Nuys estate just coming up here. They were also very instrumental on getting the original village built, the one that we had in the 30s until about the 80s. Swayze movies, Roadhouse, Dirty Dancing. Looked at the channels the other day. CMT Roadhouse had to watch that one. But this estate just coming up right here. That was actually Patrick Swayze's estate when he had his place here. The lawsuit that the ranchers had against the builders of the lake, when the courts got involved, there was one stipulation that Lake Arrowhead had to meet, and that was that any excess water from this lake could only escape out to the north. This was their solution. This is called Tavern Bay. It's a beach club, and when the lake gets full, there's actually a gate at the back of that bay, and that's the only place water can escape out of the lake. Once it gets out of the lake, it's into a little creek called Willow Creek for like a quarter of a mile, then it dumps into Deep Creek, then it travels about 16 miles down to the desert floor, where it eventually hooks up with the East Mojave River. If you're a UCLA fan, this is where they actually have their great big place. These are some of the older homes on the dock, or on the lake, I should say. You can always tell by the big concrete docks that they poured years ago. That white one there, that actually is one of the older homes, and that was actually built to represent the home that it belongs to. And back in the early days, Bob and Dolores Hope, that was their place here in Lake Arrowhead. Young lady, right there, in the pink, clapping your hand. Have her come up here and help me drive my boat. Come on up here, honey. Well, you guys, this is where I get tired of being the captain. So I would invite my little captains to give me a help. What you think? Somebody better get a camera out. That's all I got to say. This is a pretty heartwarming moment to me. Yes, they'll turn the motors on. Yes, they stole my horn. Okay, honey, well, thank you. I'm gonna have, what about you, young man? You wanna come up here and help me drive the boat? There you go. You're welcome. High five. Thank you, you guys. That was fun. Yep, watch your step now. Who doesn't love the NCIS? This big rock house right here, that's actually Mark Harmon's place. Hi there, young man. What's your name? Ben? Nice to meet you, Ben. Captain Ben. Now, come on over here, Captain Ben. Quinn, I'm sorry. Captain Quinn, when Dad takes a picture of you. Captain Quinn, you guys. Captain Quinn. You want to come up? Hello?
We're good.
You guys okay?
Thank you.
Anybody else want to come up? Drive the boat? She can come up. Yeah. Bring her up here. Hi, honey. How are you? Nice to see you. Okay, we gotta watch out. We got water skiers in the water here. Hi, what's your name? Camila. That's a pretty name. Yes. Well, Captain Camila, why don't you come up here and grab the wheel and act like you know what you're doing, just like I do. I just kind of do what it's supposed to, I guess. Actually, this thing's on a big track. Yeah, it's like Disneyland. Captain Camila, come on over here, Mom. This is the best place. And then let the, okay. Yeah, you come back, and you come here, okay? There you go. That way we can get a good picture of our Camila here. Camila, can you kind of turn just a little bit this way so that Mama can get a picture? Okay, she got your picture. Okay, Captain Camila. Well, thank you, you guys. Yes. That's about the only break I get throughout the day, so I'm grateful to all you kids. Thank you. This is this house right here, the second one over, the one with the shingled roof, that was actually Lucille Ball's house. Yeah, her weekend cabin here in Lake Arrowhead. And this is kind of a fun house, the little white A-frame right here. If you look down right below the lower deck, it's the only house on the lake that actually has its own boat garages down underneath it. And that was actually owned by Tom Selleck for a while. Yeah, I used to get a lot of oohs and ahs in the earlier days, but that's when he was driving a Ferrari and being Magnum. Now that he's selling reverse mortgages, I don't get much of a response anymore. It's not his first rodeo. Some of us that are old enough to remember who Liberace would be. Yeah, he was a pretty flamboyant fella, dressed all in sequins most of the time. As far as I'm concerned, Michael Jackson and Prince could have taken some notes by Liberace there. But this was Liberace's place right here. Of course, when he got the house on the lake, he had to get a boat. Went out and bought a beautiful brand new Centurion. It was kind of like a cabin cruiser thing. You got to remember, back in those days, the boats were pretty much all beige, or didn't have the fancy paint jobs. disappeared for like a week, and it turns out it was over at the paint shop in the marina. When he put it back on, he had piano keys painted all the way around the hull of his boat. So we always knew where he was. You guys remember the Parent Trap movies? You remember in the second one when the mom had fallen asleep on the air mattress, and I'll say those darling children of hers floated her out there. That was actually filmed right back there on that little back bay right there. So other folks that have had homes back up in this area, you're going to have to be old like me to recognize them. Dinah Shore used to have a great big house back up in this area. Spokesman for Johnny Carson forever, Ed McMahon, he had his place up here. June Lockhart. You guys remember June Lockhart? She was the mom on Lassie. She was also on Lost in Space and Petticoat Junction. You don't remember that. But I think my favorite one of all was the captain of the good ship Lollipop, Miss Shirley Temple. She had her place back here. And you have to realize when she was up here actually filming on Lake Arrowhead, this was undeveloped at the time. This was not here. So I think what happened is she kind of got a soft spot for Lake Arrowhead and bought her place up here. So that was fun. Kind of partial to captains anyway. So we've got really good fishing in the lake. That's because they stock it. I don't know if you've ever seen how they actually stock a lake, but like down at Lake Gregory or maybe up at Green Valley Lake, they have this big semi-truck with a big old tank on the back that's custom made for specifically transporting fish. And they'll get as close to the water line as they can. And then they'll add a couple of tubes on it so the fish can actually get into the water, swim off. And that's how they do it at those lakes. But here at Lake Arrowhead, make that poor semi-truck driver drive that big old truck up onto a barge that we have, and they strap him down and then they'll push him around and they'll stock in certain parts of the lake. So never seen it anywhere else but Lake Arrowhead. So anyway, we got rainbow trout, we got brown trout, we got largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, crocodiles and hippopotamuses. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Tuesdays and Fridays' job. No crocodiles, no hippopotamuses. We have crappie in the lake. And you guys were feeding the ducks, which most people do. You might have seen the big carp, but you also see a lot of rainbow trout in that bay there as well. And kind of unique to the lake, we actually have crawdads and turtles in the lake. This is actually probably the most exclusive area. It's like 20 acres, and it's called Point Hamilton. And it's a guarded, gated community. Most of the communities up here on the lake that are on the lake are actually gated, but this one is actually gated and guarded. Remember the old long stroke chain back in the day? It was pretty big out here today in the Empire. But this big gray house here on the point, that was actually the Long's weekend home here at Lake Arrowhead. love shopping at Trader Joe's. Love it. This is my day. After I get off the boat, this is the day I run down to Redmond. That's where the local Trader Joe's is. Pick up my TV dinners for the week so I can eat like a gourmet. This great big beige one here with the turrets on it, it's actually owned by the founder of Trader Joe's. So if you are a fan of the old $2 chuck and wondered why the price increased, that's probably your answer right there. Nobody pay for a mortgage payment on that place. Tell me you couldn't pick that house up and stick it someplace in Disneyland and it wouldn't blend in. There's a reason why that is. That was actually designed and built by Michael Eisner, originally by Disney, yeah. And he built it so his animateers could have a place to come get their creativeness on, as they say. And I'll tell you what, after a long day on the boat, I bet you I opened those doors, but I need to sit back in the lounger. Bet you I could become very creative. But then after he retired, of course, he didn't need it any longer. That's when it went on the market, and Brian Wilson, that was his actually second home here on the lake. Keep in mind, you guys, 95% of these homes are not lived in year-round. These are weekend and vacation homes. Back when the lake became a privately owned lake, that's when we had a really big real estate boom here in Lake Arrowhead. They were buying up houses left and right. They were actually buying 2 houses in a row, tearing them down, so they had the room to build these houses. And I get it. If I had the money, I'd probably want to do something like that. But then the contractors that were helping build these places convinced a few of the homeowners that if they would keep the chimney and perhaps a wall or two of the old existing building, they could actually get away with calling that a remodel. And the benefit of having a remodel versus a brand new build is you'd actually save money on your property taxes. This little brown house with all the glass behind the 2 green docks that's pretty representative of what the older lake homes actually used to be. This is kind of a fun house, the one with the big rock chimneys there. As we go by, if you look over the roof line there, you might notice the dome on the back side of that house. They actually have their own observatory in that home. This is known as Meadow Bay. This is the shallowest bay in all of the lake. And I don't think that I said that 3 years ago the lake was down about 17 feet. And the maximum depth in that bay is only 12. So during that time, they had no access to their docks. They had to bring their boats in for day use on the lake that way. This is another one of my favorite houses, this great big beige one. That's 16,000 square feet of home on 4 levels. Has an elevator, but most all these big homes have elevators. That's nothing new. But the thing that gets me the most, retired couple live there all by themselves.